folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Getting out here on the trail an hour later than normal, and boy, that makes a difference with all this heat and humidity. It is a sauna out here. I don't know that I got to the end of the drive before my shirt was already soaked. But we pushed through, rain, sleet, snow, shine, whatever, because, well, when you have to do this for survival, odds are it's probably not going to be a perfect day. So I got a question for you. How well do you know your neighbors, your coworkers, your friends, your family? How well do they know you? And what I'm talking about is obviously from a preparedness standpoint. Do they know that you're a prepper? Do they know that you have preps? Do they know that you do other things? Probably, somewhat. You've probably talked to them. They probably have a good general idea, if not an intimate idea, of your political beliefs and ideologies. Is that going to be a liability for you as things worsen? And when I ask you how well do you know them, well, how well do you know their character? I mean, can you absolutely say that if your best friend is really hungry, them and their children, I mean, they're at the point of starvation. I mean, it's hurting. They're hungry. Do you know them well enough to trust that they're not going to come and try to take you out because they know you have stuff? What about family members? How many of the family because you know how families are, they talk. Maybe your sister or brother or mother or father or someone knows that they get it. They know that you're a prepper and they know that you got stuff. And then they go to some family thing and they start talking to other family members, and some cousin finds out about it, and that's part of his plan. His plan is to come to your house when things get rough. Unannounced, of course. Hey, cuz, my family's starving to death. Can we just kind of crash on your couch and eat your food? The point is that, again, we live or at least we have lived in a world that most of us have never had to really, survive to exist, work to exist, to live, to survive. It just comes easy. And so we never have to worry about people around us. Sure, we worry about the bad guys out there, the drug dealers and the gang members and just the bad people. We don't have to worry about our inner circles, our families, our next door neighbors. Well, some of you may worry about them. Our coworkers that we, hang out at the water cooler with every day. We don't worry about them because no one's having to, survive. But what is going to happen when things get worse? Inflation continues to go up. It's at least, realistically, forget that 9.1%. We all know that's a bunch of hogwash. It's at a minimum 18 to 20%, probably more, and it is more in some things. What are we going to do when that inflation hits hundreds of percent, thousands, maybe even millions, like it did in Venezuela? I think it was something like 10 million% inflation or something. And you're starving, your neighbors are starving, they're hungry, and you want to help them. You want to reach out to them, but yet if you did that with everyone, you and your family would be in the same boat they're in. So you have to make that hard decision, which it is a hard one, but we're all going to have to make it. That, as Noah did, these doors are going to close, and once they're closed, it's done. There's no going back. And of course, definitely God had a hand, literally, in that. But we're going to have to do the same thing. We're going to have to make that decision. Very, very possible at some point that You know, this property, this home, this homestead is shut off from the rest of the world, and ain't no one coming in. You know, we have maybe a hand-picked select few that are welcome here, and then after that, it's sorry, you know, because we can't feed everybody, and everybody that knows that you're a prepper is going to come to your place. So what is your plan? And are you making assessments and adjustments now? When I say assessments, assessing your friends. Are you telling them too much? Do they know too much about you? And I understand we all have those inner circle friends, but what about the, you know, a little bit broader circle friends? Do they know too much about you? Do you talk too much about what you're doing, what your plans are, how you think? And have you assessed them personally? Do you think that they would be the type that would do this? And then what is your plan to defend yourself, to defend your family? I'm not saying this is an easy decision at all, but when it comes down to it, if you have a choice to take care of your children, your wife, your husband, whatever, or to take care of, you know, that guy at work, what's it going to be? I mean, I think most of us know what the choice is. We don't want to have to be pushed into that position, but we certainly get it. We know what's going on. This is part of that mental preparedness that I talk about. It's not just sitting around going, That's not what I'm saying. I'm not knocking that stuff. I don't do it, but I'm not knocking it. You know, you do you, I'll do me. Very libertarian in that respect. But this is part of that mental clarity and that mental strength, that building, developing that warrior mindset. We have to think of these kind of things because they happen. They happen in more milder SHTFs, you know, tornadoes and hurricanes and wildfires and ice storms and stuff. And in those, it's not too bad because you know that things are going to get better. That's just temporary. That crash, that SHTF is just temporary. You know that the storms will pass and the electricity will eventually come back on. And so you can maybe afford to or risk helping out and sharing with others. But if it's long term and you know that what you have isn't even going to last you and your family forever, do you take on other people? And I don't want to sound like a horse is behind, because we prep for other people. We have preps that we are working and developing, food preps and stuff, because we know that there's most likely, my wife and I talk, and this person and that person, oh yeah, and that guy, they're probably going to show up at our doorstep. I don't want to shoot them. So, call it charity, but we put things back for those people. And then of course they're going to have to pull their own weight if that kind of stuff happens. But you can't do that with everyone. I mean, you can't have 100 families show up at your little homestead and say, well, we know you're prepared, so we're here. And then when you tell them to leave, they won't leave. And then what do? Well, sometimes you have to stand your ground a little bit. I think I hear a turkey in the background somewhere. I'm definitely far enough away from the house that it's not my turkeys or anybody else's in there. This is the national forest, in case you're wondering. I think we have to think about this. I'm not saying you gotta plan to mentally, shoot your neighbors or your co-workers or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. It's quite possible things could get to that point, but the thing that I'm talking about is we need to be prepared for that. We need to be thinking about that. And we also need to be cautious on what we're saying, especially now. The Bible talks about brother against brother kind of thing. We're seeing that already. I cannot tell you how many people have personally told me this, sent emails to me, that as there's more division, whether it's gender ideology or the whole Roe v. Wade or guns or just Biden and Trump or whatever it is, Ukraine, it's dividing families to the point that it's completely destroying relationships. So it's already happening, folks. We have to be ready for this. This has to be something that we're thinking about, that we're assessing. Okay, this coworker, so-and-so, good guy. We hang out, we talk, before work. Sometimes we go to a ball game together. But, is he the kind of guy that would do that? I mean, I don't want to think that he is, but I don't know. Not quite sure that I trust him that well. And so when you get to that point and thought, that means that you probably should not be telling them anything. Back off. I recommend this because this is what I do. I have backed off a great deal the amount of political talk that I do around people. Just don't want to open that door now. And I am a slightly more public figure than most of you. Certainly no kind of celebrity public figure, but it's not too hard for people to find out who I am. That's why I'm very, very protective of letting anyone know, see the farm, because I'm not going there, not dealing with that. We have to think this way for as much as we don't want to, we have to. Because the world is getting to that point. Is getting to that point that, phone calls are being made because, I think my parents are some kind of radical white supremacist extremists. They got like a year's food supply. They have like 4 guns. They have a couple thousand rounds of ammo. They're always talking about preparing for SHTF. I think they're one of those kind. And then someone shows up at your house and bad things happen from there on. Don't downplay this, folks. I'm serious. I've heard too many stories just recently of family and friends that they thought this would never happen, and relationships were severed very greatly because of stuff, because everything is so divisive. Everything is so polarizing. And that's all being done on purpose, okay? That's part of the plan. This is not happening naturally. It's part of the plan. And so part of your preparations and part of your safety, your security for you and your family, the operational security, is to watch your mouth and to be aware of the people around you that could pose a threat. If there are people that you just know that they are absolutely welcome, that they're at least close enough, family and friends, that that they're going to be welcome, you need to talk to them. You need to explain to them that they're, number one, they're welcome. You need to tell them that it'd probably be a good idea for you to put some food back. You can put it back at your place. If you're going to end up showing up at mine, why don't you put some stuff back at my place? You can buy it yourself, or if you want to throw me an extra 50 or 60 bucks a month, I'll pick it up while I'm out buying my stuff. But don't talk to anyone. Just don't. Don't spread the word. We're not doing anything illegal, but people are weird and crazy right now, and it's getting worse. This is part of that mental preparedness that I talk about all the time. Because as much as you sit there and say, oh, my neighbor's not that kind of person, my coworker, my daughter, my son, my cousin, my mother, my father, they're not that kind of people. Really? You ever seen them starving to death? Seen them a couple of weeks from having a decent meal? Haven't bathed in a few weeks, sick, seen all kinds of traumatic things. because that's the kind of stuff that's happened in Venezuela. And when people get to that point, I assure you, civility goes out the window, and you're dealing with nothing more than a rabid dog, at least in how they will behave and what they will do to get what they want. So if you haven't thought about these things, you better make this part of your preparations. You better sit and think about this and build that toughness up here for what you're going to do now to prevent this as much as possible, and what you may have to do yet still in the future. Because that day just might be around the corner more than you think, folks. Get your houses in order. Prepare them mentally, physically, spiritually. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.